where perfect neighbour who shot and killed mum in chilling body cam footage is now. Susan Lorincz shot and killed her neighbour, AJike AJ Owens, through her locked front door in Florida in June 2023. A woman in her late 50s shot and killed her neighbour through the front door of her Florida home following a years-long feud over her children playing. Let's just say, that's the bottom line of this whole feud. This woman, Susan, just could not handle the fact that there were kids out in the street having fun and being regular kids. Yeah, they were loud. Yeah, it probably got a little bit annoying every once in a while, but hey, that's what it is. That's life, That's how kids are. They're fun. They're energetic. They're having fun. Even the police officer at one point in the documentary, in the Netflix documentary, was like, you know what? I'm glad to see you kids out actually playing in the streets instead of being on TikTok or social media or whatever it may be. And I completely agreed with him. That's so much better for you than just being stuck in the house all day on social media or in front of a TV screen or whatever it may be. This woman, Susan, she had options, in my opinion. She could have easily just ignored it, let kids be kids, as long as they wouldn't do anything to her house, then no more needs to be said. Either that, or she could have moved away somewhere where there wouldn't be any kids in the neighbourhood. In June 2023, Susan Lorincz opened fire at the mother of four, AJike AJ Owens, who had gone to confront her after she allegedly threw a roller skate at her 10-year-old son. When the 35-year-old knocked and demanded an explanation, Lorincz fired a single shot through the door, striking Owens in the chest and killing her instantly. Owens was unarmed, while her son was standing right beside her at the time. Lorincz told police she felt threatened and believed she was acting in self-defense. Her account initially delayed her arrest under Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which allows deadly force if a person reasonably believes they are in danger. However, as an investigation revealed a history of racial harassment towards local children and repeated police calls involving the two women, authorities determined the shooting was unjustified. Lorincz was arrested on 7th of June 2023 and charged with manslaughter with a firearm, culpable negligence, battery and 2 counts of assault. The case has been revisited in the new Netflix documentary The Perfect Neighbour, which is how I came familiar with this story. I was completely blown away by this story and just how shocking it was and just how despicable it was and how much hurt I felt for the victims in this story. This documentary includes security footage of multiple incidents in the lead up to the shooting. There are body cam scenes from around the time of the confrontation, the 911 calls which were placed by Susan Lorincz, and the arrival of police to the crime scene. Everybody in this neighbourhood has feuded with this lady over our children. So right now, Susan Lorincz is currently serving her 25-year sentence at a Homestead Correctional Institution in South Florida. She was sentenced. The judge said, "I find that the shooting was completely unnecessary." Completely agree. In this case, Miss Lorincz was behind the door. The door was locked. She had already called law enforcement. They were en route. She knew they were en route. She was in a relatively safe position. For some reason, she went into her room and found the gun. I mean, I don't know how safer you could actually be in this sort of situation. You're behind the door's locked, you've called the police, you know the police are en route. What more do you need? What more do you need? So yeah, the whole gun situation was completely unnecessary. Really unnecessary. She could have stayed in the room and put another lock between her and Miss Owens. But instead, she came back out. She put herself in front of the door, and at the time she fired the gun through the door, she was safe. In a somewhat recent interview, in September 2025, conducted from behind bars, Lorincz alleged to WCJB that Owens and her children had threatened to kill her. "I was terrified," she said. When asked if she was capable of killing someone, Lorincz replied, "No, it just makes me sick. I just never ever thought in a million years this would happen. and it just breaks my heart. I can't take it back. I cannot replace her. So if any of you guys are new to the story like I was before doing this podcast episode, I really suggest really watching the documentary or even looking her up on YouTube. I'm sure you can find plenty of videos surrounding this woman, Susan Lorincz, and the situation with her and her local neighbour, AJ Owens. In my opinion, the documentary does a brilliant job in explaining the whole situation. You're really gonna find that goes even deeper into the whole situation, but you know, you do you, I guess. And there is a saying like, some neighbours you get along with, and some neighbours you don't. Sometimes a neighbour could be a blessing in disguise. A neighbour could be the one person who could save your life if anything was to happen to you, like a local break-in or whatever. Maybe another neighbour is giving you harassment or whatever it may be. Sometimes you get a neighbour like Susan Lorincz, who's just completely despicable, completely heartless, and just an annoying, existing individual who complains over the most silliest things, such as kids being kids and playing out in the street. Like personally to me, I don't care how many interviews she does happen. I never in my life want to take another life. I feel sick at the thought of it. What happened was just terrible. My heart goes out to the victims, all that kind of rubbish. Completely full of shit, regardless of what she says. I don't think anybody who's done research on this woman or who has watched the documentary on this woman and the situation with her and AJ Owens can determine for themselves that yes, this woman, Susan Lorincz, is completely full of shit and she deserves a 25-year sentence in prison. So with that being said, please let me know your thoughts on this story. Whether you discovered it for the first time through my podcast, whether you've watched the documentary on Netflix, whether you've heard of the story between Susan Lorincz and AJ Owens through news outlets or whatever it may be. Please share your feelings down below. I'm very curious to know what you guys think of this whole entire situation. But for now, take care, enjoy the rest of your day, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.